like we said, we're going to hit the high points. And why don't we start with WWE Raw? Again, it's not going to be the whole episode, but just the good stuff, actually. Why don't we talk about what you saw, what we're going to talk about?
Well, we got about three things I want to talk about. The two main segments that happened, because the rest of the stuff in the middle was kind of more rawishness. But let's do it at the top of the program. What do you think about Joe Tessitore?
You know, I thought he did really well for two reasons. One, he was like Michael Cole in an unoffensive way. It didn't sound as fake as it can. And I thought he did a good job. And, you know, secondly, I think he did a good job because when it was unimportant, I was able to just tune him out and pay attention to the wrestling. And I know that sounds weird, but sometimes with some of these people, they're just screaming at you for no reason. His voice went up and down at the right moments at times.
Well, but now I got to say, I saw it during the Punk segment, which we're going to talk about. I think they may have gotten his ear because they're fighting on the desk in front of him and he's calling it like a golf tournament. And then suddenly he's, oh my gosh. And then he kicked it up a notch. But I felt like.
Well, no, at one point he's like, and he's got the bracelet and he broke the beads.
And I mean, it's going to be a feeling out process, but I thought that he was trying to be very emotive with his facial expressions when they did the on-camera pitches. While at the same time, he's having to read his notes because it's his first week. And he doesn't, you know, you can study all you want, but but the thing is, are people just going to accept, because Michael Cole started on syndication or whatever, right? Everybody started somewhere. I get the famous flops like the Mike Adamle, and who was the other fellow that didn't take to it? I can't remember the guy's name.
Adnan something.
What? There you go. Casey?
Yeah. No, wasn't that Adnan?
But are the fans that dedicatedly watch the program going to accept a guy that they've never heard of before in the chair of the main chair of the main show?
Oh, yeah, I don't think that's going to be an issue. I think they've been pretty accepting of outsiders. That Kevin Patrick lasted a long time whispering to people and getting excited.
I think that's because of Kevin Dunn more than the people, you know, saying, oh, Kevin's a fine fellow.
But that's my point. There wasn't a big outcry, though. Like, people like us would talk about how ridiculous he was and how bad he was at this specific thing. But the common fan there, it wasn't like there were signs popping up or anything. I think they'll like this guy because I think he's a wrestling fan. Obviously, they'll always be in his ear, but it seemed like he picked up on what to do pretty quickly. Unless he has like a bunch of mistakes like within the next few weeks, because those will go viral quickly. He'll be fine, I think.
He'll be fine.
And wasn't he like Nick Khan's first client or something?
Oh, God, I don't know. I don't remember if we talked about this. I've put it out of my mind. But
I think he may have been like client number one for Nick Khan.
Oh, gee. Okay, well, he's figured in. It's like when I told that, oh, my God, when a Ring of Honor was on HDNet, and an HDNet, the fight, department, wrestling, boxing, UFC, MMA, well, not UFC, but MMA, whatever. Guy Mesger was the, head of that department, I guess, at the time. And he came to one of the tapings and I was trying to help, transform that thing into a viewable television program, even though nobody could view HDNet. When they had Mike Hogwood doing the announcing, yeah. And the thing I said, we will not live long enough for Mike Hogwood to be a good wrestling announcer. And then I found out that was the guy they hired him to begin with. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ.
I have an article from a couple of months ago in the New York Post when they first announced that Joe Tessitore was the new commentator on Raw. And it says here, the job is something of a full circle moment for Joe, who was the first media client of WWE president Nick Khan.
Well, there you go.
Oh, man. If you're like the second client, are you calling Nick Khan right now like, hey, you hiring anyone?
When a Raw switches guys, 'cause Nick Khan's your guy, Tessitore.
So are you saying you got a bad feeling for this off the first night,
I
or
think
what?
he's kind of, he's kind of a smooth announcer, but I don't know that he had settled in there, and he was trying a little hard on the emoting at the desks.
Hey, listen, how many announcers can settle in very quickly in a new place? Jim Ross famously had struggles with that in WWF, and a lot of that was Vince McMahon's management of the commentators.
Well, yeah, but normal, sane people are in charge now, allegedly.
It'll be interesting because, again, if he grew up watching the Vince McMahon, Kevin Dunn wrestling only, that's the only style of commentating he knows. Basically, Vince McMahon into Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler into Michael Cole.
All those guys got into Michael Cole?
Yes.
I didn't know Michael was that kind of guy.
They toppled each other.
But you're just, okay, you're going to be a Tessitore guy, is what you're going to get the shirt. I'm a Tessitore guy. Is it because of your mutual Italian backgrounds?
Well, I'm not Italian, first of all. And second of all, I would never get a shirt like that for anyone.
I think secretly you're Italian because of your fetish about the New York pizza just a certain fucking way.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But what I'm going to say is there was nothing he did on this first episode of Raw that made me think this is a problem, or
I'm
made
not
a mistake, or that he won't grow into this by week, in the coming weeks. By week 2, he may be better than week 1.
When did I say any of those things?
You're ready to cut the guys. You're ready to send them to Mike Adamley Island. What are you talking about?
I was.
Who are the other failures, Brian, in the history of Raw? Let's name every failed commentator you can think of.
Not comparing his work to these other twats. I was saying that, like the fans, do they normally want just a brand new guy that they've never seen before? He's been on ESPN or whatever. I've never fucking seen him. I could have picked him out of a police lineup. Do they want somebody suddenly just vaulting right into the fucking main chair there?
See, that's one of the things about commentators in other sports. Unless you're like a real hardcore fan and you watch every minute of it, you may just only know them by the voice. You may have no idea what they look like.
Well, I'm not saying he's an ugly looking man either. You're twisting my words.
That wasn't my words or the words I was trying to twist. I wasn't trying to twist.
I'm saying that if Vince was still here, when they went to a death shot, they would either have him wearing a towel over his head or put a blue dot over his face.
All right, listen. This quick episode of the Drive-Thru, we've spent 11 minutes on Joe Tessitore.
Joe Testicorley. So one of the main story running through the evening from first to last was Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest and Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio and the associated peripheral members of this love quadrangle and fucking backstabbing bunch of bullshit, right, that they're going through. They all hate each other. Have I set that up quick enough?
Yes.
Okay, so the first segment was 15 minutes long, and they actually spoke what in the territory days would have been 2 minutes of content. Did you notice this?
What do you mean?
Mommy comes out, Rhea comes out, says, "Welcome to Monday Night Mommy." She looks great. She's a huge star. The fans love her. Well, by the time her entrance, the people are cheering so loud and so long. All she has to basically do is say, "I pinned the women's champion, so I want a title match with Liv Morgan." And music plays. And here comes Dominic. And did you see the black eye? Was that from the mixed tag, I wonder?
I'm not certain where it came from, but it looked good.
Oh, you're saying he might have just been mugged on the street.
He may have fallen and hit the corner of the bed.
Fallen and hitting?
Fallen and hitting the corner of the bed. You never know what's going on there with these crazy kids.
That should have been Henry and Phineas Godwin's finish, the fallen and hitting.
Better than a slop drop.
Well, it just depends on, but nevertheless, we're not supposed to sub-reference. Boy, the show ain't going to be any fun. So Dominic comes out, and it's every time he opens his mouth, they scream boo over him. That's the thing, and the crowds love it, and over, and they chant, "You suck." And he basically, it takes him 5 minutes to get out the point that Liv is still recovering from being accosted in Berlin, but they would these people are so over. They're out there for 15 minutes to have a minute and a half back and forth conversation because people will not stop screaming and having fun. It's almost at this point when I think of how hard I used to fucking work. I don't want to speak for anybody else. I'm like, God damn it. Stand out there and fart in a microphone. I wonder if the windscreens would sell on the website. Damian Priest farted windscreen.
Pretty sure they could sell them if it's the girls doing it.
Well,
some of the weirdos out there.
I'll bid $250 for Rhea's.
What? Behave yourself.
Anyway, so Rhea told Dominic that he was stupid in Spanish and she'll fight Liv anytime, any place, anywhere, Alice. Bang, zoom to the moon. It's what's going to happen. As soon as she says that, boom, Liv attacks her. But Rhea nails her, knocks her off, and grabs Dominic, and then Liv gets back on her. And when Liv comes back to save Dominic, because Dominic's on the floor, and Rhea has gone over and reached through and grabbed him. And when Liv hits Rhea from behind, she falls forward, and her ankle, is tied in the ropes, and she's hanging upside down. And she's helpless, like she's caught in a trap. She can't walk out because she's caught up in the ropes, baby. And then Liv starts kicking, and I think she lived through 5 or 6 kicks at her leg and may have hit it once or twice. But do you follow me on Twitter, Brian? Have I blocked you yet?
No, not yet. I do follow you on Twitter.
Did you see when I retweeted what somebody said about this spot?
Yeah, someone really gave Liv Morgan a lot of credit for saving this from the big botch that Rhea committed.
Yes, they said, can you imagine the professionalism and the improvisation on the spot of Liv Morgan to cover up when this unfortunate accident happened to Rhea Ripley? What a true professional. I said, well, you bulbous-headed dipshit. What about the professional? And I hate to unkayfabe their spot, but I said the professionalism was on Rhea Ripley's part in this perfectly placed and perfectly timed spot that she did so that Liv could jump out there and hit 20% of her kicks on a stationary target. This spot, and I saw Lou Thez do this with the Garvin brothers in 1973 on, I think it was Birmingham television, because I remember Sterling Brewer calling it. And then Jimmy Garvin, who at the time was dressing more effeminately than goddamn Liberace, as the manager of Ron and Terry Garvin, kicked over and over, kicked Lou Thez in the ass while he was hanging upside down. And then Lou Thez cut a promo where he actually said the word ass in 1973. I've never heard it. He said, well, but the thing is, he also said another word. He said, I'll be damned if I'll let the F word fellow kick me in the ass on television.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was big down in Birmingham at the time, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, Rhea did this better than Thez did. That's what I was going to say with that. So,
and she didn't insult anyone in the process.
No, she hung up there and boom, and then Priest came running out for the save with no music. Thank God they've at least loosened up on that thing too. And Heels ran off, and this set up the show-long thing where... explain this to me, Brian. Now that Rhea's leg was injured at the top of the program, they were going to fight the Judgment Day somehow, but now because Rhea can't be Damian Priest's partners, he's worried that the match is going to be canceled or whatever, so she's going to find him a partner. But if she was the partner, were they going to wrestle two of the guys? Was
Yeah.
this explained?
That was not explained, or at least I didn't hear the explanation, but that was the same thought I had. It was going to be a mixed match on one side?
Well, yeah, but it wouldn't be because they don't do those. So the plot line, I'm loving it. It's the story is over like crazy, and I'm loving Ripley and even Liv as long as she doesn't wrestle and all this stuff. She's great, and Dominic is a heat magnet. But this didn't make sense. And then she started teasing because of her apparently special relationship with Jay Yeet, that it was going to be him, and they teased that until the end of the show. We find out, well, guess what? It is going to be fucking him.
At least they did that. Even though I'm not a fan of his in-ring stuff, the fans have been chanting for him to be aligned with this for a few weeks now, so at least they got a payoff for it.
Well, and I wish they'd keep aligned with this because right before Jay yeeted out to yeet with them, he and Braun Breaker were yeeting at each other. And I don't want to see that match because I'm afraid that it will not look good for Braun, who's possibly not experienced enough to cover up for the just bullshit work that Jey Uso. He's over as fuck, but his work is bullshit. But anyway, we go to the end and then we'll jump back, turn around and kiss ourselves, because Priest and Yeet wrestled Finn and JD. So if Jey Uso's taking Rhea's, apparently, well, Rhea kicks the shit out of JD anyway. Right? So I guess that wouldn't have been a mismatch. This match was broken up by such breaks and etc. The babyface's entrance was an entire segment by itself. And because they're screaming at them for, because they're all over. And then they came back for the bell and the start of the match, and they were to break again in 3 minutes. So finally, we're going to the finish, because this is what drives me crazy. Again, these people are over. They're drawing all kinds of fucking money. I'm loving the story. But the goddamn wrestling sucks these days. Because at one point, finally, Priest is making a comeback. And he knocks the shit out of Finn Balor. Something that looks good, and went for the choke slam, and Finn just rolled him up. And as soon as Priest kicked out of that, Finn got up and started running and hitting the ropes. And so the heel not only foiled the babyface's finish, but he no-sold all the bumps he'd taken in the babyface's comeback, including the big clothesline or Zabadai, where as soon as he goes to be choke slammed, he can just roll him up and continue on. Do you see what I'm saying here, Brian? 0 to hero.
I see what you're saying.
And then here's the thing. Because they had gotten heat on Jey Uso, right? So when he had tagged Priest to make that comeback, here's what had happened. Jey Uso had been punching JD, and then JD, and I mean, insert your joke here, headbutted Uso, so that may be enough to kill him. But Uso then jumped up, turned around and kissed myself, jumped up and hit him with an enziguri, and they both were down. So technically, the last offensive move that was hidden, there you go, was from Jey Uso. And when Jey Uso made the tag, I put the stopwatch on it. You didn't see him again for 2 solid minutes. While Priest was making a comeback and Finn was doing all that stuff where he fucking just, instantly came back to life and went back and forth. Uso's laying on the ground somewhere from tagging when he was the last guy to strike a blow. Do you see why this doesn't make sense?
I do.
Do you see why it may be a television product, but there's 12,000 people in the fucking arena? And part of the art of wrestling, it was and is being able to occupy everyone in a satisfactory position where it's a contest and you're doing this in one take in theater and around in front of people. And even in OVW, whenever we would give finishes for television or for the major house shows, I would illustrate to the guys, when they would pitch me shit, I'd say, what's so-and-so doing? Well, we hip tossed him. Okay, that was a minute ago. He ain't gonna sell the hip toss that long. You've got to know where everybody is, and you got to keep everybody from standing with their dick in their hand, waiting for a spot, or having to be just standing there while other things transpire. And also in a finish, the spotlight has to go on these two guys doing this thing, and then maybe these two guys doing this thing, or one of the guys and a manager doing this thing. And it has to go from one thing to the other rather than all happening at the same time, or the people miss shit. And it could even be spotlight for 4 seconds, bump, and over here, other side of the ring, spotlight for 7 seconds while that transpires. But it has to go bing, bing, bing instead of all at the same time. And you can't just goddamn die or crawl under the fucking ring or sit there eating your fucking lunch for 2 minutes without 12,000 people seeing you. Even if you're not shooting you on camera. That's the art of wrestling. Occupy everybody. And if you can't, don't do what you're trying to do something else. Then basically when you saw Uso again after all this other stuff had happened, he hopped up to the apron to blind tag Priest on the shoulder and immediately come off the top with a crossbody on both the heels. So like he went from laying on the floor, I guess, unconscious, to suddenly jumping off the fucking top rope. You see where I'm going with this?
Amphetamines.
And then Priest was gone. And the last move that Priest had done was to double clothesline the heels. And Uso had tagged him on the back. But so Uso tags him on the back while he's doing a double clothesline. And when he lands, he just rolls out of the ring and he's gone. While Liv comes out and crotches Uso on a top rope. And JD and Finn start double teaming Uso. And then Priest, who last double clotheslined these individuals, comes back and makes a save. And everybody sells. And then Rhea's music plays. And then she comes out and hits Liv with her crutch and chases her hopping on one leg. And then the baby faces beat JD, of course, 1, 2, 3. The chase on one leg was fucking great, but God damn it, try on the finishes to keep everybody involved and make everything exciting without just making people have to disappear, right? Am I being too picky? But when you notice so bad, where is this motherfucker? Was he in the match? That's 2 minutes is too long.
I don't think you're being too picky. You're critiquing it the way people would want you to critique it. And that was the main event of Raw. But like you said, we're going to go back and we're going to review at least one other segment that was pretty big on the show, or at least a couple of segments comprised of one angle.
Well, yeah, or however you want to say it. And by the way, I just want to make a couple of observations. Model Girl was in a 6-man tag again. You may have disagreed with me before when I was talking about how skinny she is, but do you see now she's losing weight by the day, by the week? She's so skinny right now, her fallopian tubes aren't plural. I mean, it's just, I don't see how she's going to be able to stand up to the pressure of strong winds and taking bumps much longer. Do you?
I didn't watch this. I mean, she's a skinny...
I don't even talk about the match,
woman.
Just the human being. I fear for her safety. Her legs may break off and stick up her ass. Well, then where would you be with legs broken off and stuck in your ass?
In AEW.
Well, there you go. No, a lot of people there deserve a boot broken off in their ass. Anyway, the 9 o'clock hour was the other piece of business we have to talk about because this one harkened back to the days of heat. Heat. The 9 o'clock hour came. They need stars out there. They need people that the fans want to see. And all of a sudden, like Mussolini, coming out happy. Punk is smiling right at me.
Oh, God.
No, did you see? He came out, he was happy. Smiling faces. Sometimes, I guess that song doesn't fit, but he was, what makes you happy? Then why the hell are you? Well, that don't fit
That's
either.
not the song either. It's if it makes you happy, not what makes you happy.
Well, what makes you happy?
Me?
All right, anyway, Punk came out happy. He's smiling because he won in Berlin. He won in Berlin. He conquered the Drew McIntyre. He got that bracelet. He got a big pop. The CM Punk chants. Got a big pop for his line. Isn't it great to be alive and well? And where were they? Wartburg, Denver, Colorado. 2 nights in a row counting the NXT thing. So they're selling 20-some thousand tickets out there. Folks, not even newsworthy anymore. And he reacts to his win, and then he switches gears, and he does an entire promo where he said, you know, remember I said I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to make money. And he explains how he wants Gunther for the world title next. I put Drew McIntyre to sleep. It's time that CM Punk woke up as champion. And he's got the energy, and again, he's talking to him, and he's engaging, and he did it long enough that you're thinking that, well, okay, yeah, now the next big fucking match, because he just won, he's got his shit back, is Punk and Gunther. That'll be goddamn interesting. And he says, I'm going to take the world title from Gunther and play my funky music, white boy. Well, he didn't actually say that. But he called for his music, and it's playing, and he got out, and he slapped some hands to some fans. He's on the announce desk. This is right about where they always go to break, right? And suddenly his fucking Punk looks down, and goddamn his feet get jerked out from under him. And it's Drew McIntyre in a black hoodie covering his identity, slinking in like a thief in the dark. And he beat the shit out of Punk, and he slammed his head into the desk. And Wade Barrett finally, the old friend, because they're from across the pond together, some part of the United Kingdom. I can't keep track of where everybody, but they sound somewhat alike. Wade's his old friend. He's backing him up, and that's where I thought Tessitore was at one point was calling it like a car race, maybe, and now Wade is backing him up. And there was a shit kicking 3 feet in front of him, but then he kind of panicked him a little bit more. But McIntyre blows around Wade Barrett and Claymored Punk over the desk and throws him in the ring, and a Claymore in the ring. And now here come the agents, but god damn it, most of them are grown adults, and Jamie Noble's there too. I kid. I wanted to pop some of the other boys. But they could do something besides hold their hands up, right? And fucking, just adopt these poses where they're like, please don't do this. Try to restrain him, let him jerk away, whatever. But anyway, Drew's on him still again. He takes the bracelet and breaks it and gets the beads and shove 'ems. He shove 'ems is what he did.
Oh, he did it.
He shoved them in Punk's mouth, and then as Punk is staggering up, he hits another Claymore to his face, and Punk goes down, and he's choking on the beads. And then Pierce is out there, the referees, and they're trying to restrain him, and finally McIntyre leaves, and the EMTs come out with the wheelie stretcher, and they're going to tape Punk down and try to figure, does he need oxygen? Is he choking on these beads? His neck? Is he broken? Whatever. What the fuck's going on? And then right when they come back from the break, as soon as they replay that in a split screen, they're showing Punk being wheeled through the back as they take him to wherever the ambulance must have parked in the fucking discount lot, because they were wheeling him quite a ways. But as they're going through the back, there's McIntyre again and hops on him, and boom, and he rips a neck brace off, and he's choking him, and he gouges his eyes, and Now Punk's bleeding from the mouth. Is it throat damage from the beads or is it blah, blah, blah? And there's an element of chaos going on. So I liked that just as, again, this is more grown up than the shit that we were having to watch. What was it this time last year? Has it been a little longer now? Time flies when you have fun.
You know, Testatori made a comment on commentary, of all places.
Well, what a fucking place to stick a comment in when he's doing his commentary.
He made a comment on commentary about how this has been the most heated rivalry in WWE all year. And I said to you after the pay-per-view, where Punk pretty decisively beat Drew McIntyre, where do they go from here? What's the next thing? They just had the gimmick match, and we saw what happened. Is that the end for now? And they certainly teased into that with the Gunther promo, which made you think, oh, that's something I haven't thought about. And now they heated this thing back up. What do you think? What do you think of them doing this? And what do you think? I mean, you saw this kind of feud in Memphis. Again, it's a little different, but the never-ending feud where one guy can never one-up the other.
And this is, again, they've had 2 matches now. I mean, you know, if it was the territory days, my God, think of how many times Dusty Rhodes wrestled Kevin Sullivan in Florida, or Lawler wrestled Lawler and Dundee, and just in one series went like 13 weeks in Memphis. So they have way not worn this out yet. It's just that modern fans aren't really used to it because they can't keep it interesting a lot of the time. But if you've got something like this that is firing on all cylinders, keep going. And even if, you know, if they had originally planned, well, I'll blow it off in Berlin, the blow off in Berlin. The story behind Lawler and Dundee's run in the summer of '77 in Memphis, and I say 13 weeks, actually over a 13-week period, they were against each other in some stipulation, in some fashion, I believe in 11 weeks of those shows, and sold right under 100,000 tickets in one building in the same city. And Jarrett was going to blow it off at the end of August. And that's where they did the deal where it was end of August or maybe even the first weekend of September, Labor Day, where it was Lawler and Dundee, hair versus hair. And when they did such a big house again, he said, fuck, he said, they're still interested in this. And that's where he went to Dundee afterwards and talked him into putting his wife Beverly's hair up. And they came back the next week, drew another big house and shaved her head. The tape of that does not exist. I wonder why. Because they really shaved her fucking head. But the point is, you know, if you've got people interested in something, as long as you change it up and make it different, and one side is not dominating the other, the heel gets heat, but he doesn't just kill the baby face. And the baby face, you know, is wronged, but he just didn't lay there like a limp fish. And you strike the balance. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
Well, we see where they're going with this now. More Drew McIntyre and CM Punk.
How long does Punk have to be out, if he does have to be out, just to sell this? A week? Or does it have to be longer? Or does it have to be not even be a week? He can come back next week and attack.
Well, hold on now. Jesus Christ, Russo.
Answer everything and answer them all concisely, if you don't mind.
Depending on what the injury, or if they're going to name a specific injury, say, for example, he got vocal cord damage because he choked on these beads or when they got kicked down his throat. And so he might be able to come back and fight, but he might speak with a whisper. You know what I'm saying? The Pillman angle from years ago. Or depending, they had a neck collar on him. So was it an injury to the neck and the beads were an insult? And when he got smushed, it fucking busted his mouth open. Depending on the injury or what they're going to say would depend on the comeback and the method or manner or time frame. So we got to wait till next week.
Indeed we do. And that was WWE Raw on the USA Network for now.
For now.
But Jim, While WWE and USA Network will remain friends going into the future, we have a lot of friends listening to this show and a lot of friends that are used to really bad transitions. And we're going to make one right now because we're going to tell our friends about our new friends at Orgain.
Well, there you are. There you ended it. I thought it was going to be more flowery and more verbose, but you handed it right to me like a turd on a platter. But I will take up for the ball here and tell you that, folks, we do have new friends at Orgain. And I got to be honest with you, I was scoffing in my head. I was scoffing at this product because I remember sitting there at Vince McMahon's dining room table in his big mansion, trapped like a rat in a cage, writing days or 10, 12 hours long. And I would see intermittently, or in the limo, or in the production meetings, wherever we were, I would see Vince McMahon make a protein shake. And he would take some kind of powder out of something with a trowel, and he would put water in it or some other type of liquid, and he would shake it in this shaker thing, and he would drink this stuff. It looked like a mixture of mud and dirty mortar. And that is the opinion that I've always had of protein shakes. Now, Brad, of course, this was 30 years ago, but still, when you're scarred by something, Brian, as a young child, then it stays with you. But that's what I thought the protein shakes were, just chalky, muddy, dirty, shaky uppy stuffy, really? That the bodybuilders and the body freaks drank because they can choke down anything, squirrel vomit, if it'll help them get those big muscles. Why didn't you ever tell me that it doesn't have to be that way?
Well, it doesn't have to be that way. They could taste good. They could actually taste really, really, really good.
Yes.
So that you want way too many because they're really good.
That's why I'm telling you that you've hidden this from. You're my connection to the modern world, Brian, and you haven't told me I had to wait until the people at Orgain sent me their protein shake. And now you want to drink so much. Can you overdose on protein?
No.
Because these things
I don't think so.
Well, by cracky, I'm going to try. Because
no, you're not going to try. You're going to try to have a respectable amount as required. I'm
going to tie my arm off, and I'm going to get a vein and a syringe, and I'm going to inject it right in there because
no.
Boy, I'll tell you what, but this stuff is the real. It's the protein-powered nutrition that understands that being good for you doesn't have to taste bad. And Orgain was founded by Dr. Andrew Abraham. And a man with two first names that becomes a doctor has to be respected. And so this is going to give you energy to keep you going, muscle support and recovery. It helps maintain a healthy lifestyle, manage hunger, promote healthy weight management in combination with diet and exercise. 1 gram of sugar per serving. There's no soy involved in this whatsoever, and no artificial flavors or sweeteners. And you got 30 grams of protein. Or is it 30 grams of the shake?
No,
30-gram protein shake.
30 grams of protein, only 160 calories, and it's delicious. These things are amazing. I'm so happy with this.
And they remind me of the chocolate milkshakes that my mother used to give me in a can back in the 60s when I was a young man as a reward for taking my iron pill.
I know we have a lot of listeners that work out and you need a protein shake. A lot of them do drink protein shakes. Check this out. I'm serious. 30 grams of protein, 160 calories, and it's delicious.
And also, here's another thing. I was all prepared, and I figured out a way. It's even better and healthier because this is a chocolate milkshake, basically. That's what it tastes like. They say protein shake. It's a chocolate milkshake. Here's what you do. You get you about a quart of vanilla ice cream. in a bowl and then pour one of these bad boys over the top of it
No.
and eat that thing with a spoon. And boy, howdy, is that good.
Well, again, we're focusing on the nutritious side of things today, and while that may taste good because these are indeed delicious shakes, this chocolate fudge 30-gram protein shake, but let's not talk about mixing it with the most fattening thing you have.
Well, no, because see, then you're even healthier because that the ice cream, the vanilla ice cream, because the vanilla bean is a natural plant, so there's organicness, and the milk from a cow comes straight from the udder, and they just put it in the freezer, so you're drinking God's creatures fucking.
I have no idea what the hell you're talking about, but let's just end this, and let's end this concisely by letting the people know. If you work out, if you need a healthy alternative to other snacks, something that will cause your stomach to feel full, a delicious, nutritious protein shake filled with chocolate and, of course, 30 grams of protein, I must say I endorse this. I've been using it. I like it. You even like it. That's scary, but that's Orgain. How can the listeners get it? Jim.
I thought you said concisely. Well, right now, all you got to do is listen to me. The 30-gram protein shakes from Orgain are available at Costco and at Orgain.com, Orgain. Orgain, like lose or gain? Well, you're going to gain. You're not going to lose. If you want to get in on this delicious protein-packed nutrition, head to Orgain.com/JCE. and use the code JCE for 20% off your order. So again, you can go to Costco, you can go to Orgain.com. If you're a lazy fat fuck and you don't take care of yourself, you need to be working out and drinking these things anyway. Get some protein in your flabby, cholesterol-ridden ass. So if you ain't going to walk out to Costco, just have it delivered to you. Orgain.com/JCE. And the code JCE will get you 20% off.
That's right. The code JCE with Orgain. Check them out today. Let us know what
Why
you think.
are you screaming?
Because we're moving quick. This is a fun, fast-paced, action-packed show. You never know what's going to happen.
Quick but not loud. Orgain.
Orgain. Do you remember? Did you ever hear those Larry King commercials years ago? Those Larry King's commercials years ago for garlic.
Yes, I remember garlic. I remember that. It apparently
had the worst tagline ever. Garlic, as in unique.
What? Well, it didn't help him very much either because he didn't last long after that, did he? And was that what was making him look so desiccated to begin with, even before he passed into the other world?
I think it was only about breath, but I'm not exactly sure what it was. I just remember the tagline, garlic, as in unique, which doesn't say anything about what it does or anything.
You know, a one-of-a-kind thing can taste like absolute horse shit or poison you to fucking death instantly.
We don't know what happened to Larry, but
Orgain won't do any of these things.
He needed some Orgain, that Larry King. That's what I always say.
He needed a variety of organs.